usually means that that's what we're doing,
Oh, I
which
see it
is
too.
very
Mhm.
exciting, I know. So I'm gonna hop over here and it will show me when we're actually up and running. I'm super, super excited to talk about this. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm on our Mill District page. It should tell me that we are live, which it does right here. So I'm going to pull this up so that I can see who's watching and see any questions that come through. All right, we are a go. This is awesome.
Yay.
So I'm super, super excited to welcome Sofia Maroulis to So Ask Us. As I said in my post yesterday, reminding everyone to tune in this morning at 11, we had planned to have Tony Maroulis, who incidentally is Sophia's father and also the director of external relations at UMass. He was going to be with us, but he did warn us that at this exact moment, there's a lot going on at UMass, which I imagine everyone in Amherst can understand, and that he might get pulled away. And so what we did was ask Sophia if she would be willing, if he got pulled away, to jump in and take the reins and share her experience and her life with us, give us a little window in. And she did. And here she is, because he did get pulled away, which we knew was going to happen,
Yes,
really,
I knew
right?
it would happen, of course.
So
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy.
yes, I'm so happy, and I'm just so excited to talk with you. I really think that this all like worked out for the best,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly.
We don't need him. We don't need him.
We don't need him.
Yeah.
Tony, whatever. He's a good dancer. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
Did you see him on the Pride video? Did you see the
Oh,
video we made for
wait.
Pride Month?
No, I didn't see that Pride video. I knew he wanted me to dance, and then me and Mickey were like, "You want us to dance for what? Like what video?"
Oh,
No, I didn't see that. I have to go
all
watch that.
right.
We're going
Go
for
on the Mill District Facebook page. It is
it.
worth seeing your dad's move
Oh my
on this
God.
video.
Wow. Wow. I'm excited.
So great. But enough about him, because we are here to talk to you. And I'm super pumped that you're here. And as you and I were talking about a little bit before we jumped on, I'm especially excited to talk to you because you are in this really interesting intersection of so many things that are happening in the world right now. And the first thing I want to ask about is, what the heck is it like to be a student right now? Because for anyone watching who doesn't know, you are a rising sophomore at UMass, right? This is your second year. You decided to keep it local. You felt like UMass could meet your needs as a student, and then
Yeah, and all this
curveball.
happened. Yeah, having such a good time, and then this happened, and I got sent home. Just so
Yeah.
um honestly, yeah, I chose UMass because it had such, I'm doing art history. I'm an art history major, so I knew they
Mm.
had such a good art history program and such a good price. So I was like, it's too good to pass up. I'll just spend my 4 years here, and then I can go leave and go
Right.
wherever else I want to go.
Totally.
And yeah, I didn't think I would love it as much as I did, and I just absolutely
Mm.
fell in love and found my people. It's so big, you can find your people wherever you go. There's so many things going on. But yeah, then once we got the news, that I remember I was sitting in my dorm room, and my friend came in and was like, yeah, Amherst College is going remote for the rest of the semester. And once
Yeah.
we heard that, my heart just dropped, because I was like, that's
Oh,
us too. That's us too. We're going to go home. We're going to leave all our friends. And so, yeah,
yeah.
it's been difficult. But the main thing is just like the social aspect of it. The social aspect is so hard to live without, but
Yeah.
the remote part has been pretty okay, and pretty not challenging, for the most part. But yeah, just miss all my friends, miss everybody.
Yeah, right. And it's such a unique situation that you're in, because going home for you
Mm-hmm.
meant
5
that you
minutes
were
away.
leaving the dorm, but
Yeah,
you weren't leaving town. So
yeah.
you've kind of been like
Mm-hmm.
hearing all sides of it still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah,
that
and
weird?
also, yeah, it is weird. It's also weird because like it is the same town, but it feels like two completely different worlds. And I
Yeah.
always grew up hearing that from UMass students. And
Hmm.
obviously, yeah, so it's 5 minutes away, and so it's just it's odd coming home and like feeling like UMass is so close. Like I could literally reach out and touch it, but then everything that I love about it is so far away. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a weird experience, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's so wild. And, not just a student, for anyone watching who doesn't know you, and we're going to get into all of this, but you're an artist, you're an entrepreneur, you're a jewelry maker, you're a designer. Obviously, you're a student, you're an Amherst native, you're also an activist. You know, you to me are so inspiring to talk to. And I'm not saying that in like, oh, you're so inspiring, but like
No, thank you so
seriously,
much. Thank you.
yeah, like, I'm curious as you plan to go into your second year
Mhm.
with online classes, but you are going to be living, in a house with friends locally. So you're kind of having the off-campus
Yeah,
student
yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
What do you anticipate for yourself as you navigate online classes and your artwork and everything that's kind of going on in the world that you're trying to
Mhm.
be supportive of and in the middle of?
Yeah, I definitely thought that I could be the best student I could be if I didn't live at home,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that coming home right after school, after we got sent home in March, it was really, really hard to be with my family and like but also be a student. Like it just be a student at UMass. I mean, I
Yeah,
was a student like with my family through high school, through middle school and
of
everything for
course.
so long, but having to come back and do college work here was just like very difficult, and it was hard to stay motivated because nobody really knew what they were doing at first.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's why I made the decision to get out of here and go to another place, also just 10 minutes away, but I think that will make like an astronomical difference for me and my friends who just all kind of struggled at the end of last semester.
yeah,
With everything else, I'm so excited to do online classes because I feel like that will give me more time to focus on other things also. Like that will give me
yeah.
way more time to focus on doing art and doing the things that I love to do. Because like as stupid as it sounds, like you're not like wasting time walking to class and coming back from class.
That's so true.
Yeah, even though that is my favorite part of, I just love every part of UMass. Like I will be saving time on things like that, so I'll have time to do other things.
Yeah,
And I'm just so excited to have a new normal. Like I'm so excited for this change.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I I just want to be like optimistic about the whole situation, because it's really detrimental to my head when I'm negative about like
totally.
something that I can't change. Like I can't change anything about what's going on, so the only thing that I can do is really be positive and like try to figure out things that work for me in all of this. But it will still be a learning experience for everybody. Like we're all going to still have to figure out what works best for us with
Yeah,
online school, especially like what part of the house like we need to be in to like do the best work or something like that, because we'll mostly
right.
be in there. But yeah, that's an exciting part of it, I think.
Yeah, it is exciting. And I think approaching change in that way of like trying to stay positive and recognize that change can mean that we're leading to something that is different and strange and maybe uncomfortable, but also is an opportunity. And, especially you and I, just before we got on here, we were joking about how we're very social people,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And that meme that was going around talking about checking on your extroverted friends and stuff, like we are those extroverted friends who are trying to figure out how to maintain some of that social capital. I'm curious, with your classes going online, you lose some part of the back and forth that in a classroom is really important. So what do you hope will kind of develop around online learning that either, professors will infuse in a class or maybe
Yeah.
even platforms will rise to?
Yeah. And I also think we'll see more and more different platforms come out of
Yeah,
this too. Like I didn't know what Zoom was before all of this. And
right?
yeah, and now everybody's on it, which is it's just so interesting to watch. I feel like different I feel like throughout this year especially, like people will be able to pinpoint things that could be better, or problems that we're still having, and like create new things out of that to help
Yeah.
us with online learning. I think that all of my teachers, because they all did last semester too, every teacher was recognizing that this is obviously so weird for everyone, so difficult.
Yeah.
um, and but it also, like, it doesn't have to be so difficult. Like if we're saying it's difficult all the time, in your head you're going to be like, this is difficult, so it should
Right.
be
You have
that.
a block to it almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and your mind isn't like open to new things. I think um what I'm hoping is just that my teachers are really positive about the situation, and they're like, we just got to do this, this is our new thing, like
Yeah.
what are the things that we can do to make this better. I hope that we'll all be able to still kind of get one-on-one time with like my peers if we were doing group
Mhm.
projects or something. That's something I'm thinking about. Yeah, I just think talking to my peers is like something that our teachers should really, really be pushing
Mhm.
to have in the class still, because that's just one of the most important things for me. Just
Yeah.
knowing what other people are thinking about the work, and what other people are doing about the work, and how they're responding. That's a
Yeah.
lot for me.
This is such an interesting time of a little bit of an equalizer when it comes to being online with your professors. It's great to hear that your professors are willing to kind of step in and be like, this is weird. This
Mm-hmm.
is crazy, right? Because they're having an experience also. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's really, I love hearing how much you love UMass and clearly respect the
Mhm.
education that you're getting. And do you feel like there's room to kind of offer these suggestions to your professors? Are they
Oh, yeah.
welcoming of feedback?
Yeah. I mean, all the
Great.
professors that I have, like for me personally, I'm in humanities and fine arts, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think every professor is kind of open to not, I wouldn't say criticism, open to
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah.
Especially last semester too, because everybody was like, I don't know what I'm doing. My professors
Right.
were like, I have no idea what to do with
That's
you guys.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we had so many like group presentations that we were having to do, especially because the semester was wrapping up. So we
Right.
had so many final projects that just all had to be completely changed. But yeah, I hope that this semester they'll all be open to suggestion. I think
Yeah.
that they probably have to be, though, because like there are just so many things that could go wrong, like somebody's Wi-Fi being down.
Right.
Yeah, so many things like that happened last semester, and it was like, so I think everybody has to be more patient for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
definitely. I want to take a quick minute because we have some people watching. Please feel free to shoot questions Sophia's way, and I will communicate them to her, and she can answer them in real time. So, hi to Diana and Nora and Nancy and Nell. Wow, that was a lot of ends. um, we're having an end day on So Ask Us. Very cool. Yeah, please feel free to shoot some questions our way. So, um, I think that this thing you brought up about Amherst kind of being two towns sometimes between students and the higher education world that they are living in, and then people living in the town, growing up in the town. For you as a student, I know in the Mill District, we are really trying to attract students to living in the Mill District in North Amherst who also feel passionate about their learning and also are, young entrepreneurs who are trying to build something and, drive change and understand things. What feels important to you as a student living in Amherst? Like, what draws you to a community where you say, this is where I want to be? I feel like resources are here for me, things I like are here for me, and I have a community around me that is also helping me be my best self,
Yeah,
not just as a student, but also as a person, a
yeah,
human being, and an adult.
yeah. Definitely the most, I like that question. Definitely the most important thing for me is just to be surrounded by different types of people. I think that at
Mm,
UMass, especially when I was growing up in Amherst, it was hard to see past the kind of like frat culture that's
Mhm.
like really big on campus, and you kind of think that everybody there is like that, but once you get there you realize that like that's a very small
Yeah.
portion of the campus.
Yes.
And so I just think that for me, like what's most important to me about a place is just feeling like every type of person would be included, and not just cater to one group of people, one type of people. I think that it's just like a very different, diverse group of people. Just like that is the most important thing for me, and that's
Yeah.
honestly it. Just making sure that like you're creating a space that everybody will feel comfortable in and everybody can, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because that leads to so many other things, right?
Mhm.
Like that's
Mhm.
exactly what builds a community where like cool things are happening and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that are out of your comfort
Yeah.
zone are happening,
Mhm.
or there's retail that you might not have
Mhm.
checked out before you
Mhm.
lived in that space. That's, I think you hit it. I think that's so, such a great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And I know
Um,
you guys are trying to do that too, and like
yeah.
asking people how can we do that better, which is just also so important. And I love to watch that happen.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And it is, that is a big part of my role in the Mill District is we want to hear from community members about what's working, what's not working, what kind of stores do you want, all of that.
Mhm.
And then during this time specifically, there has been this added layer of understanding what people's comfort level is around things like,
Yeah.
for instance, and I've probably talked about this in other interviews, everybody knows that outdoor movies are like my favorite thing. And I had
I
so
love
many plans for this summer. I
that.
was so excited about it, all this stuff.
Mhm.
How do you feel, obviously, not just as a student, but as someone living in this time of COVID? What makes you feel comfortable or not when you think about um, attending things, going to an outdoor movie versus something like going to a protest, going to the beach?
Mhm.
How do you kind of navigate your own personal sense of safety and what makes you feel comfortable?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we were just talking about this like
Yeah.
before. Um, and I was saying about outdoor movies, like I would love to do that. I'm so up for that,
Right.
especially if I just feel like if I'm wearing a mask and everybody around me is wearing a mask and everybody's staying far away from each other, I personally feel safe, but I understand that other people, that's a lot to ask for them. So
Yeah.
but in terms of protests, I felt like, and I said this to you before too, I felt like it was just too important to not be a part of it
Yeah.
than to go and wear a mask and stand like with hundreds of people, like in Northampton, standing with
Yeah.
a lot of people. So it was unsafe, like in terms of COVID, but it just felt like so much more powerful to be there and important for me to be there and see what was going on and listen to other people. I just felt like I really needed to do that no matter how unsafe it was.
Yeah.
And you could tell that everybody else there was also feeling the same way. Like everybody was really conscious of keeping their masks on and being safe, but it was like you needed to be close to people at certain moments. So, and also you could definitely tell that like people craved being close to each other. Like
Yeah.
it felt nice to kind of have that excuse to be close to each other, even though again like it's kind of unsafe. um,
Right.
but yeah, that's just for me personally. Like I definitely felt okay going to a protest, but I wouldn't feel okay, like I don't think yet like eating inside in a restaurant, like that's
Yeah.
not something that I would feel comfortable with, especially with my mask off.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, just being like really close to people, like in an environment that's like enclosed, I definitely am not comfortable with yet, and I don't know when that will happen,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
probably soon.
I think that makes total sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And let's, if you're comfortable, let's dive in a little bit to the conversation around the Black Lives Matter movement, which I know that you're very active in.
Mhm.
Can you share a little bit, besides protesting, you were talking about being a businesswoman and specifically being a white businesswoman, which I also think a lot about. And how do you interface with that movement and keep the conversation going in a way that feels productive through your work and your art?
Mhm. Yeah, I just think that I just think that every white person right now just needs to realize that they have this amazingly huge privilege, and
Mm,
they just need to use it in any possible way that they can to further the Black Lives Matter movement.
yeah,
So and it's just like, if you have a voice, just use it, and you just need to use it for good at this moment.
yeah,
And I think obviously, like, we need to be doing a lot of listening, like we need to do a lot of listening, but
yeah,
also, like, any platform is a platform, and like everybody's platform is a little bit different. Like, everybody has a different circle of followers. So if you're like, I don't know, I just think that anything you're putting out into the world will be seen by somebody who maybe didn't know about that before, or isn't as educated on that,
yeah,
and can be, and it can start to change minds, or just like continue to educate, because like I'm continuing to be educated every day by just my friends who are posting things. Like, it's just been like such a good learning experience. I'm so happy that it's going on, especially for
yeah,
me, just because I'm learning so much, and I'm so grateful for that.
yeah,
But yeah, I just am trying to use my platform, to like give back and to spread the wealth among people that don't have it as much. So I was just doing, or I'm making these rings right now, and then I'm just donating most of the proceeds to Black Girl Ventures, which is just giving money to Black and brown business owners who are just like me. So I wanted to donate to something that was like directly, that I was like directly a part of, kind of, or I was directly, I don't know how to say that, like, just I wanted to pick a part in the movement that I was like really passionate about, and I knew that like I could really resonate with. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I so resonate with what you're saying, and I think it is what I love about how you're talking about it is that it can feel like a very big responsibility, a very big privilege. I think sometimes that can be paralyzing for people if they're not sure what to do with it. And what I hear you saying is that you really kind of drilled down and said, what can I do to connect with this movement in a way that I'm already, in the process of? And your jewelry making and Lippy the Brand, which if people don't know Sofia's brand and style, you can follow it on Instagram. It's amazing. And you really took what you were already doing and
Yeah.
connected it into what was happening. And I
Yeah.
think, those points of contact, that's the best place to start,
Yeah.
right?
Like smaller points of contact, like down the ladder. Like everybody,
Yeah.
I feel like, is thinking about donating directly to like the big
Yeah.
places.
Sure.
And
Awesome.
yeah, and that's honestly really good. But I've also seen a lot of people finding like smaller things to donate to. And that's what I
Yeah.
was really looking at, because I was like, those
Mhm.
smaller places, like everything counts for them. So
Yes.
I was like, let me just pick something like super specific that like other people will definitely not hear about before. Like, I didn't know about Black Girl Ventures before, and
Yeah.
it's so amazing. I just love it so much. So yeah, I'm excited to keep doing that and finding more
Yeah.
things about like that.
That's awesome. And I feel like what you're talking about, like that sharing of the platform and saying, I'm identifying who is doing the work that I'm doing and how I can kind of support that. And we can meet on this equal
Yeah,
ground that we're on, and I look at, movements within movements like the Share the Mic movement, where, white people, thought leaders, actresses who have these huge platforms are trading off with thought leaders and people of color in the Black Lives Matter movement and sharing back and forth and saying, you come on my platform on Instagram
yeah,
and
yeah,
Facebook,
yeah,
share your message, and then I'll come on yours.
yeah,
And all of a sudden we've doubled our audience,
yeah,
and that's amazing.
yeah. It is
It's so
amazing.
cool.
I love that.
That's so awesome. That's really, really wonderful. So I'm curious about how Lippy started. I mean, where did you sort of make the transition from, yeah, I'm an artist and I'm doing my art, to, okay, I'm a business person and I want to get my stuff out there and have it seen? How did that journey happen for you?
Well, that part's still happening. The second part is definitely still in the works. Like, it's hard
Yeah,
for me to get a grasp on the business part of it still, because I'm not there yet. Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, but it's been about a year since I started making jewelry, and I was just making jewelry and selling some pieces to my friends. And then from there, I had always really wanted to start my own, like literally since I was like 8 years old, was just always wanting to have my own fashion line or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was selling enough necklaces that I was like, oh, maybe this is my opportunity here. So then I just quickly made an Instagram for it, like started doing photo shoots with my friends, and like thankfully got such a good response. And I like knew a lot of people in Amherst, obviously, so that's like the majority of where like all of my followers are from, and I really like
Mhm.
having that and feeling really connected to Amherst through that. So that was really good. So yeah, basically a year ago this month, I started doing that, and
It's your Lippy anniversary.
it is.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, thank you. And so yeah, out of the jewelry, I just started making clothes because that's always what I really wanted to do. And
Yeah.
then also we were like starting to make videos and doing other projects. Like we were like doing a bunch of like wall art at UMass, which was really fun. But yeah, it's kind of evolved from just jewelry to like a lot of different
Yeah.
stuff now.
Yeah. More of
So
a culture, like a lifestyle
yeah,
brand.
yeah. And I like being that because then it doesn't like confine me to any one thing, which I think would be hard for me to choose. Like I don't really know what
Yeah.
one thing I
You
would
don't have to
choose.
choose.
Yeah, I don't have to choose.
You don't have to.
But yeah, it's been so much fun and I love it. And I've
That's
met
so
so many cool
awesome.
people through it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something that we think about a lot in the Mill District, especially when, you and I are talking about change and evolution and
Mm,
culture. Um, Retail and business, right, is also going through that shift.
yeah,
And so
big change.
even, yeah, like even before COVID happened, um, we were trying to think of ways to really highlight, you know, young artists, startups, entrepreneurs, people
Uh-huh.
who have brands, and especially I think highlighting work that students were doing and bringing to Amherst. And I know that one thing that gets talked a lot about is how do we keep students here after graduation? Like there's so
Mhm.
many great ideas, so many amazing professional goals being set while people are attending UMass and other colleges. What do you feel like, if there were certain opportunities to either show your work or help other people show their work,
Mhm.
are there things that you feel like the retail community, whether it's here in Amherst or whether it's in New York or whether it's wherever, can do to encourage more young people, people of color, students coming right out of school to
Oh
get
yeah.
out there and show their stuff?
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting question. I definitely think that it kind of like with that kind of starts from the top down, and I'm just thinking
Mm.
about art right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like museums and galleries and things like that, and just like everything that goes under that. I think that there's a big change, or hopefully it looks like there's a big change going
Yeah.
on in like the super huge and important museum institutions.
Yes, I
Like
agree.
yeah, and like museums are saying, okay, we have all art by white men in our whole entire institution, like we need to do something about that. And I
Yeah.
think that that message hopefully will just like trickle down, and so people will feel just more included in a gallery or a museum space, because I hate that some people when they walk into a museum don't feel welcome in that museum. Like
Yeah.
everybody should feel welcome. It's art. It's not a different, there's no it's not like a higher place than the
Right.
outside of the museum. It's the same exact place. It's
Right.
just like this one has white walls and like you're outside over here.
Yeah.
People feel so like intimidated in a gallery or museum, and I don't want that to be a thing anymore. So I think
Yeah.
once that is kind of broken down, then people will start to feel more included and more like, oh, I could see my own art up here. Like they could see themselves in the art, which I think is
Yeah.
really, really, really important. Just
Yeah.
seeing yourself represented on in a place where you think it's like a you go into a museum and you want to see yourself represented on the walls, not something you don't identify with. So I
Right.
think it's important
Yeah.
first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really couldn't agree more. And I'm blanking on which museum it is, but very recently there was a big announcement from a museum that for all of 2020, they were only going to purchase artwork by women.
I just read that, but I also forget which museum it was.
We'll look it up. We'll look it up and we'll put it in the comments for anyone who's wondering.
That's the wrong one.
And yeah, I so agree. And I think art, it's interesting, like when, again, looking at art and then translating art into something like a lifestyle brand, something where people are wearing your art around and they are speaking with their voice from your artwork. Mm-hmm. So it's like you really bring together, someone wears something that you've made because they feel like you are identifying with them, which is so, really for me, it's so powerful, right? Are there things that you feel like you've been sort of reverse inspired by seeing, like, who is drawn to Lippy? That you were like, and it gives you different ideas of it?
Yeah, it definitely gives me different ideas to see who likes it, for sure. And it's also made me be like, oh, I should switch what I'm doing a little bit. Maybe like a while ago, I was like, oh, maybe I should like elevate this a little bit more so it doesn't just attract the person, but a lot of people. And I kind of thought that I kind of was naive in the beginning and thought that like everybody would like it, but obviously everybody's not gonna like it. I don't know why I thought that. Yeah.
I think that's common. I think I had to wait until I was in graduate school in a class about audience development, and the professor got up and said, the art you make is never going to be for everyone. And I was like, what? I was like 33. Right? It's a big deal to recognize that. How did that impact you?
Definitely, I kind of got ego checked. I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need to start making like different types of things if I want to attract this type of person. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm happy that happened because, I learned so much. I've been learning so much this entire year. Yeah. And kind of been like knocked off of the things that I think that I know, which is always so like surprising for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it makes total sense.
Yeah. I'm just, wow, everything is not the way I think it is. And then I'm like, I have to build back up, and I like that process. It's kind of scary, but I do really like it. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that process, it makes total sense. And it also happens to everyone, right? Yeah. Everybody goes through that, whether it's with their professional work or, their learning or their idea of what is happening in the world, right? We all kind of get that ego check sometimes, I think. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you have peers, friends, fellow students, maybe even professors that you can talk about that process with?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm so happy that I have people that I can talk about that with. I feel sometimes like I wish people could just like read my mind,
right?
Like know what I'm thinking about it, because I feel like it's hard for me to talk about it because sometimes I don't even know how I'm feeling about it. But yeah, I think that was a good way to say it. Like I just get knocked off of the things that I think I know. Then I have to build back up. But yeah, I'm so lucky that I have such good friends that are also artists, and like parents that are also artists, and so many people that I know that are creative that I can talk to about it. Because I think being around people that are also creative is really important for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to put one more call out there to everyone watching, because there's a lot of you. I can see you all. If anyone has questions, really, Sofia is being super forthcoming, and this is a great place to be asking really anything. And I think I'll just kind of, draw my questions to a close by being curious, what, as things continue to change and evolve, we talked about, really looking at online classes and how they can be more social and connected. We talked about not letting the Black Lives Matter movement die down and keeping that alive and in the conversation in a very real way. And we talked about, business and entrepreneurship. How do you balance all of these things that you are keeping eyes on and putting your energy into? What feels like it really grounds you in that optimism that you're wanting to bring to it?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question.
That's a huge question. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's a good question. That's gonna be fun. But it does feel overwhelming a lot of the time to be. I mean, it's not like I like have to think about like Lippy all the time or anything, but I think just the most important thing for me to be thinking about right now is the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's just been like at the front of my mind.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I can't, like I don't want to, and I don't feel like I want the world to move on before this issue is resolved. And I feel like people are like trying to go back to posting normal things and go back to normal, like white people are just trying to go back to normal and ignore this. But it's like we can't, like this is such a good opportunity this time, like this is like so good. And I hear people saying all the time like social media shouldn't be used for this movement, but it's like this is what we have right now. Like we're in times of COVID, we can't see each other, we can't like talk to each other in person, like we need social media for this. So yeah, that's just been like the main thing I'm thinking about right now. So it is overwhelming, especially because I'm thinking like also like what should I be creating right now? Like I don't really know what will be useful for me to be creating, and also what will I be happy with creating. So that's another thing that is like a little bit overwhelming to think about. But I'm excited about online school. I'm excited to start that again, just because I think that will give me structure again, like good structure. And I'm so excited to be learning about something again, or learning about a lot of things. Learning about a lot of things like in a school setting again. I'm ready to go back to school.
It's ironic sometimes, I think, how much structure can spur creativity.
Especially for me, I'm always way more creative when I'm super busy. And I've been, you feel good when you're super busy, like doing things all day.
Absolutely. I think we have a really good question from Shalini Ball, who is a mindfulness instructor with Downtown Mindfulness. She's our mindfulness partner in the Mill District. She's also a town counselor. And she said that she'd love to know your thoughts about how local government can really respond to the social, the economic, the health crisis, all of those things. Is there a way that you think about local government interacting with all of those things and really being supportive and helpful that you feel like you'd like to speak to?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of the stuff that like the bid is doing downtown. And I'm really just like the barriers that they painted and they put around the all the businesses and stuff.
Right. That was so fun.
I just think like little things like that. I just think I just want everybody to be positive and like moving forward in a positive way right now, because like that's the only thing that we really can be doing and will help us. And I just think little things like that just help me so much. I just like, even just like how things look, like helps me so much. In terms of like other stuff, I don't know, that's also kind of a big question.
It is a big question.
But I don't know, I just think that like hopefully soon we can start like planning like events again, like an outdoor movie, something like that. I just think that like stuff like that is really important, and just kind of like trying to keep a positive view of everything rather than like a negative, like everybody stay in their homes type of thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shalini also said, thank you, Sophia, for your commitment to change and thoughtfulness about your responses and support of Black Lives Matter. Right? Kind of
awesome. Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you.
And I totally agree. And I feel like what you're speaking to is the impact that the sort of physical environment around us can have on our emotional well-being and our sense of potential and optimism, and how optimism and potential are so linked.
Yeah.
I so agree with you. And I think, you know, that does definitely touch on local government, because there are, you know, rules around how that physical environment is built and how it's decorated and how it's presented, and all of that. So I think it's a great point that you're bringing up about how local government can look at what kind of physical environment we're able to create. I know in the Mill District, we think a lot about, you know, could we do not only events, but is there a way to have pop-up resources, you know, like, are there things we need to bring to people to meet them where they are, whether it's public art to keep their spirits up, or, you know, an art supply swap so artists can come and like get inspired with one another. Yeah, I
I
think
would
what
love
you're
that.
speaking
That
to
would
is
be so
crucial. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, cool.
Yes, that would be so awesome. We should do that, please.
I know. Well, that was the thing that I was super excited about in opening the general store and local artist galleries, that we were going to have these spaces where people could come together, and we will have those spaces when we're able to you know, build out that space and open those stores. You know, with the general store having art supplies, that's a great way to start a conversation. Two artists come in to buy stuff and they meet each other and they start talking. It's like physical space is so important. So important.
I agree fully.
Absolutely. Oh man. Well, Shalini is putting so much stuff up. Shalini, you absolutely rock my world jumping into the conversation. It's so, so great. And it looks like others are being shy with the questions. Oh, yes. Nora says local artist market pop-up. Yes. Right? Oh my gosh.
We could do social distancing at that. That would be easy.
We can. We'll have tables that are very far apart. Yep. And you just have to stand 6 feet back. We can totally do stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. And that's, again, we're all bumping up against how do we do things in a way that feels safe and comfortable while doing things. Right? We got to keep doing, and we got to
keep doing things.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Well, Sophia, we all clearly really appreciate not only you being here today, but the work that you're doing, the presence that you have on the UMass campus, deciding to stay local and learn here and stay involved in your community. It's awesome.
Thank you so much, Hannah. That means so much. I'm just trying to like do what I should be doing and what I think other people should be doing.
That's the best you can do. That's amazing. So Nell says, I keep asking all the questions. It's true. It's true. I know there's so many. And Shalini, before we left, Shalini says she wants to acknowledge the town of Amherst staff that pivoted and allowed outdoor seating on the street. True. We want young minds, artists, businesses, and the Mill District to work together with local government. We want that as well. It's already happening. It's going to keep happening. Maybe now we can even pull Sophia into the fold and get her opinion and her artwork up everywhere, which is awesome. I love it. This is so great. Thank you so much. We're going to release you back to the millions of things you're doing.
It's like 3 things. It's fine.
Well, best of luck with school starting up and everything. And I look forward, maybe we can check in with you again a little down the road. We'll see where
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.